Welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Now, we've all had those moments in our life, those experiences where you see something, or better yet, you smell something that you just say to yourself, I want that. And then, like any good drug, you start to enjoy it and you want more and you want more and you just can't get enough of it. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's going to lead into I always have a favorite story. Well, this is one of my favorite stories because it includes food. I'm driving with my wife and another couple, and they came out from Pittsburgh. They were our neighbors in Pittsburgh, and they came out to visit us, and they wanted to see the Northwest. But more importantly, they wanted to see Yellowstone National Park. They wanted to see Mount Rushmore. And so both those aren't really officially in the Northwest, but they came out to where our home in the Northwest was, and we took a road trip. So one morning we get up, and none of us were really overly hungry at the time, so we thought we'd get on the road. We're heading east through Wyoming, just leaving Yellowstone, and we'll just find the first restaurant. Well, we're driving, talking. All of a sudden, our stomach started talking to all of us, and there's just not a restaurant anywhere, not a cafe anywhere. And you think on these roads, especially around Yellowstone, there'd be a cafe on every intersection kind of thing. But anyway, we're driving down through the roads, and all of a sudden we see the sign saying up above is like the Smith's Cafe. So we all said, yep, we're going to go there. So we go there, and just like every small town, the wait staff really was impeccable. They made you feel like you're part of the family, you're part of the community. They talked to us, they're joking with us. We're talking about how big eater I am. So they said, you need to get this one meal because it will fill you up. So sure enough, the plate started coming, and all of a sudden I'm even thinking, I don't know if I can eat this much, and I can eat quite a bit. And so I eat all of my meal, and everybody's impressed. The waitress is impressed. And as we're just kind of sitting there getting ready to think about heading back into the car, all of a sudden one of the wait staff brings this tray with 4 hot, freshly baked pies, and they put it on the table right next to ours. And I looked over there, and I'm looking at these pies, and they look beautiful, but the smell, we all know what a homemade pie smells like. It doesn't matter what's in the pie. It just smells killer. So as I'm looking at these, and I want to ask, what the flavors are, she brings another tray of 4 hot, freshly baked pies. And now I'm dying. Even though I'm completely full, I've got those senses going, and I have to have a piece of pie. And about that time, she hasn't stopped. She brings another tray. So now I have 12 freshly baked pies right there to cool off. And I asked the waitress if they were for sale. And she said, yes, we're going to either sell them whole or by the slice. I said, I'd love to have a slice of nice warm pie. She goes, probably with ice cream. And I said, no, I'm really just a good hot pie eater. And so she goes, well, what flavor do you like? Well, tell me, because I can't see really what they are. All I know is that they're like a fruit pie. So she starts naming off, and I think number 2 was like blackberry or blueberry. And I said, perfect, that's what I want, because I love blueberry and blackberry pies. So everybody now is looking at me like, you just ate like 15 people's worth of food, and now you want a piece of pie. And it's breakfast time, so it's not like dessert's really normal at breakfast. And so now the smell has gotten to them, and they said, well, what other kind of pies do you have? So she starts to read off the list of the 12 pies, and she got to I think I stopped at 2. I think she stopped at 4 or 5. And I said, okay, I changed my mind. I want that one instead of the blueberry. And so the lady crosses off blueberry and writes whatever the next one was. And as she's going through the rest of the list, I said, wait a minute, that sounds really good too. So wipe off that one. I'll take that other one. So now she's taking my order 3 times, and she's now starting to give me that look like, okay, please don't do it again. Well, sure enough, she got down to like number 11 of the 12, and she named off another pie that I had to have. So the poor lady, she goes, okay, let me guess. You want me to cut, wipe that one off and write this one? I said, I put you through a lot. I'm going to take all 4. I'm going to take this one now, and you put the other 3 to go because I don't want you to keep erasing. And my wife and the 2 friends of ours, they know me and they know that that's typical of Roger, but I could not stop there. I just wanted more because every breath I took, I could smell those damn pies. And so, sure enough, because they're watching me now eat my pie, all of a sudden my wife goes, "I don't even like pie, but I'm going to order one." And Jackie and Bill said, "You know what? I'm not hungry either. But if you're taking 3 pies in addition to this one to go, we'll all get our pie and we'll all stop on the side of the road and have a piece of pie." Well, sure enough, I finished my pie. I'm looking at the 3 that's nicely wrapped for me. And we get in the car, and I'll be a son again if I didn't make it 5 minutes down the road, and all of a sudden, Bill, Jackie, and Doreen, my wife, are now opening up their boxes and eating theirs because the smell that just got to them. Now we're in the car. The whole car smelled like fresh baked pie, and that happens to us. But that's a fun story. It's a entertaining story. But in real life, sometimes we have those uncontrollable urges to want more. And sometimes they're not very healthy. I'm not going to say pie is healthy, but it puts a smile on my face. So I think it's healthy. But some of our urges are not healthy. And sometimes all it is just our mindset that we are really going down the wrong paths. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I can't think of a better person to really talk about wanting more, especially when it comes to those aromas of pies, than my guest, Monselete Bowden. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I can't thank you enough for joining me. And because you are the founder of Aromatic Readings, you're an executive coach, but Aromatic Readings, when I was talking about my smelling of these pies, that I couldn't decide which one I wanted, could you think of what you do with your aromas with your clients and say, maybe I should try blueberry pie as an aroma?
Yeah, well, first I was thinking I would have ordered all the desserts like
Yeah,
you, just
exactly. Yeah.
one of each. And it made me just think about how aroma really makes us feel a certain way. So for you, it sounded like it made you feel really warm and like home, and it almost sounded like you just felt like extra comforted. So you
Yeah.
wanted more of it, right? Yeah.
Well, and if you really get to know me, I just like to fill my stomach to the very fullest. I just love to eat. I don't gain any weight, but I can out eat anybody just because the family legend is I have a tapeworm, which I don't. But the fact is, it always seems like I'm eating for two because I do. Just when I see something good and it tastes good, I could sit there for hours and just enjoy every bite. I don't eat fast. I just enjoy every bite, and people just look at me like, how can that guy that size eat that much? But I've been that way my whole life. So anyway, let's get back to the episode of of wanting more. But
I want
anyway,
what
you're
you're
an
having. You
I
can eat and never get, I want what you're having, whatever that is.
exactly. I love it. So anyway, you're an executive coach. You're the founder of Aromatic Readings. Tell us a little bit about really what that means, being a coach and the founder, because you've combined the two.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of executive business coaching, performance coaching. And as much as I loved it, I really wanted to incorporate wellness again. My background had been wellness for 10 or 12 years. I'd left that industry and I just was seeking something more within the coaching, I guess, realm. And
Mhm.
so that took me back to the basics. And I knew that it's really hard for anyone to make any change, especially with their mindset, if they don't feel good, if they don't feel better than they currently feel. And I thought, what better way to make somebody feel better than aromatherapy? And then what better way to begin once they feel better working on that, the mindset and the mind shifts. So that's sort of how I integrated both together.
I love that. So, is it possible to make an aroma that smells like fresh baked blackberry or blueberry pie?
Absolutely, but it might be synthetic versus non-synthetic.
Well, if I could wake up every day, like when you wake up and someone's making bacon, right? They're frying bacon. All of a sudden, the whole house smells like a dream.
Yeah.
And I want more, and I haven't even had my first bite, and I'm already thinking how many more slices of bacon I want, and so if I could just sit around, maybe I shouldn't just sit around and smell fresh blackberry pie all day, because maybe I would eat all day. And so that might not be the thing to do, because after we talked about wanting more, I might want more, and that could be a bad sign. So anyway, little side note there. I happen to, since it's my podcast, I'm able to go side notes here from there. So anyway, thank you.
Absolutely. I love it.
I know, I do too. So let's talk about wanting more. You're the coach.
Mm.
What does that mean to you? We've had a lot of conversations about wanting more, and I've always heard that term. I've always thought I understood that term. And then I met you. We started talking about it, and you gave me a, a different view. So tell us your view on what it means when we say wanting more.
Yeah, sure. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, should we clarify in general terms what wanting more is? I think maybe that when I think about in general terms wanting more, as you said, food, pie, I think a lot of times we think about external things, right? So maybe I want a better job, I want to make more money, I want a bigger house. And those things are fantastic. There's nothing wrong with those things. But when I think about wanting more for myself, I think that it's something that you can't buy, something you can't think through. So for me, that would be inner joy, feeling heard, overcoming conflict, being seen.
Yeah, and it's kind of like New Year's resolutions. You know, they're goals, but people know that they're not going to meet them. That 92% of people don't meet their goals. And when you hear always about people wanting more, you always do, like you reference, wanting a new car, wanting a bigger house, wanting, the right love of your life to marry, wanting a better career. But we really don't talk about those inner feelings and wants. And,
Yeah.
you know, especially it seems like there's just a lot of unhappy people, and it's not so much that they want that car, that house, that job. They want everything that you just talked about. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be noticed. They want to be thanked, for doing their job.
Mm,
And we've become a society, especially in the society or the community of business, that we've taken the employees for granted. So there's been now this societal shift, especially in the business community, to where, you know, I'm the boss, I'm the owner, you're going to come to work and be the person I need you to be. And really, I don't have to worry about you. You have to worry about meeting my needs. So why do you think wanting more really matters more today than what it maybe did in the past?
Well, can I just say something in comment to what you just said? As you were
Yeah.
talking about what the employer is expecting of the employee, it just made me think about obedience and agreement. The employer thinks you're supposed to be obedient, show up, do what I want, don't question it. And yet, really, we're in an agreement. I've agreed to come work for you, but I didn't say no. I'm not going to have an opinion, or I'm going to do everything you say even if I don't want to. So I don't know. I just, when you said that, it made me think about it is very interesting. It's like there's this obedient approach, and then there's really the reality is this is an agreement.
And thank you for clarifying that, because you're absolutely right. I'm a business owner. I have employees, and yes, obviously they have to follow directions. So everybody's doing the same thing that they're supposed to do and follow the protocols, especially like with the restaurant. You need to make sure that you're keeping people safe so people aren't going to come and get sick from your food and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, though, there are times a day where there's time to see, watch, and see what your staff is really doing. And even though, yes, it's expected, why is it so hard for people to go up and say, "Gee, Monselete, I just watched how you handled that customer over there, and I just want to say thank you. They left smiling and just full of joy. So thank you for that." And I mean, it took me 5 seconds to say that to you. You probably now have another 8 hours of full energy in you because someone recognized that you did something special, even though it's probably something that you do repeatedly all day as a waitress or as a front desk person at the hotel or a housekeeper, stuff like that. But the fact is that someone just said, "Geez, thank you for making those people feel good. Thank you for making that room just be ready a little bit earlier for these guests that just came in." I mean, why is it so hard?
Mm. I think it could be so hard possibly because they're just not paying attention to the nuances. They're so hyper focused on the bottom line or the goal or the end game that gets missed.
Yeah, and it's sad. So anytime that a coach kind of shifts gears, they go into a different direction with their coaching. They still want to coach, but they notice that they want to more specialize, kind of like what you've done. Was there a specific tipping point in your career, your professional life that said, "You know what? I need to do this more"?
Mm. Yeah, so I was one of those people. I was on automatic. I was in my head. I wasn't always this way, but I had come sort of disconnected from my body, just in my head and doing all the things. I'm checking off all the boxes and I'm a doer, 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 go, 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 and then I had a forced time out. I had a um, concussion and it forced me to literally lay in bed for a couple of weeks in the dark. I couldn't read a book. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't be on my phone. I literally could not do anything but lay there and have no stimulation to my mind. And it was during that process that I laid there and started just thinking about my life and how I was just going and going and trying to achieve all these things. And I wasn't really sure, what really am I achieving? Sure, more money. Yeah, I want more money. Sure, a better life. Yeah, great, better life. But that wasn't for me really what there was something deeper. And so as I continued to explore that, I realized that I wanted more. I wanted an awakened heart. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to have genuine conversations and genuine connections with people. And I think that that was the tipping point for me in this direction.
We don't want anybody to just go out and purposely get a concussion, have to lay around and take that time to contemplate their life. But
Yeah, wouldn't
how as
suggest
a
it.
coach, exactly. There's some people I'd love to give a concussion to, but that's a whole nother
And
episode.
I think I needed it. It's like I needed literally somebody to say, stop. Like,
Yeah.
stop what you're doing.
And
Yeah.
so how does other individuals, without having that person say stop or someone giving them a concussion, how do they become aware that they need to maybe take a little bit longer pause and really start thinking about them internally? Not, "I want more money, I want more of this," but really the things that really matter in everyday life.
Mhm.
Having a nice car is great, but it's only great when you in the car driving from here to there.
Right.
But what happens the rest of the day? What happens the rest of the week? What happens, those other things that really we probably want more, but we don't think about it because it's not a possession. It's really something internal that we just can like turn on the light switch.
Yeah, we can't see it, right? So we don't think about it. I mean, I think every individual it's a personal journey, but I think that if you are continuously fulfilling yourself with external things, which is okay, but you're still finding that you're not where you want to be or you're missing something, I think that that is a sign that it's time to look inward. If you are you see some people who go from job to job, or I once knew a person who was in the dating scene, and she started moving. She moved from city to city because she thought the dating scene would be different for her. It would be a different experience. And maybe it is, obviously, right? Different places, different people. But the one thing that didn't change in all the cities and countries that she went to was herself. And after this 2-year journey, she comes back to where she started and hadn't had any luck. And it was interesting to say, well, what's different for you? What do you need to look at that's about you that isn't something you can buy? You can't move to the new place. You can't change it externally. So I think it's hard because it takes work. And if we had a pill and I said, here, take this pill and you're going to be fulfilled in all the ways you need to internally. You're not going to need any external validation. It'll be great to have those things, but you're going to get everything you need with this pill. I think we would all take it, right? But
Mhm.
it's a lot of work, I think, to be self-aware enough that you have to look internally and say, hey, this is me. I've had 20 jobs and they've all been man. Maybe I'm man with myself. I don't know what that is for that person.
Mhm.
But I think you have to have self-awareness that it's time to look inward and then start exploring what that is for you and what you might need internally to become more fulfilled. That isn't something that you can think your way through, but something you have to feel.
Yeah, I'm now going to shift not from the individual, but to the organization that hires individuals.
Okay.
I've gone to plenty of restaurants, and I have a couple wait staff people who, when you walk in the room, you can feel their positive energy. I mean, they are just, that lightning bug that just shines. And you can't help but watch them just like lightning bugs. In the hot summer nights, you see all of a sudden that light, and you just want to follow that bug throughout its journey that night. And and when these people come up to talk to you, they you almost feel like you're at grandma's house, and she's taken care of every little thing that you want at that meal. She just makes you feel just warm and welcome, like I'm the only person there and I matter so much to that person. And you know, it's funny when you said earlier when I told the story about the pies, you said, I want what he's having. You know, how many times have you walked away from those individuals who are on the job working and they make you feel such a unique positive energy that you walk away going, God, she is so happy just doing that. And there's other people probably making 10 times more money than she is, and they are completely miserable. They, you know, they just can't help themselves, but they just are so miserable because all they can think about is tomorrow, what they're going to get tomorrow, what they want tomorrow, as opposed to just living in that moment and enjoying every second of every minute of every hour of that day. And so, does this really apply to today's overall business community? Do you think about how there are so many individuals out there that are miserable, not just because of the work, but because of whatever's going on in their personal life or whatever, and they just can't help but bring in that drag to the positive energy that should be in that workplace, but they can't. Or maybe it's the boss, maybe it's the owner, maybe it's the manager who just is putting that squelch on any kind of just complete happiness for that day. And I don't mean overall happiness. I'm just talking about that they're content to be there. They feel like they belong there. Everything that you mentioned, they belong there, that they feel listened, that they feel heard, and that they really do matter besides just stamping whatever or doing whatever menial labor. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when you talk, I totally get what you're saying, and I guess my question is, how do we bring that positivity into a corporation? I
Yes.
yeah. As you said, I think it starts at the top. And I think that, can you make money and be as happy as the waitress that you mentioned? Yeah, I think you can have both. But I think that we have to, as an organization, look at the organization as one big body of all these people. And we have to somehow say the future of where we're going is not where we've been. And people no longer want to just show up to do a job and check out. And we can't just be in our head all day long. We're connected to a body. And if we look at an organization as an entire body, well, the people of the organization are only, the corporation's only as good as the people. The people can only support the organization as well as they're being supported. And that means personally and professionally. And if we're just addressing needs within a company that are the professional needs or the problems of the company, we're still not addressing the people, the individuals themselves. And I think if we could start doing that, then they're going to show up very differently than they are now.
So, with the topic of wanting more, you bring up a good point, because if all the owner really cares about is wanting more, in this case, money, more sales, all of a sudden, you know, the people are not at the forefront. His employees are not at the forefront. It's just the customers coming in and buying. That's what he is concerned about. And if the manager, one level down below the owner, is feeling the pressure that we need more, they're now going to turn to that mindset that we need more. So no matter what, instead of me thinking about patting you on the back and saying, wow, I just noticed how you treated that person, nice job, whatever, they're thinking, okay, quit spending so much time with that person and start helping this other person because we want more, you know, and because they want more, they automatically assume that the customer wants more. So why not sell them more? Why not entice them to buy more? It's always more, 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 no matter what. And, I think really corporation, the term, the definition for a corporation should be, we want more. Because once you put a sign on it saying that I am a corporation, all of a sudden it just seems like the whole mindset of the company changes, because we've been conditioned to say, okay, you're a corporation, that must mean you want more money, more funds, more sales, more this or that. And all of a sudden the people just are not recognized. They're now, managers and owners have turned a blinder to the people who actually produce, and they don't realize that they need more of that human conditioning from time
Yeah.
to time.
Yeah, I mean, go back to your experience at the restaurant and how it made you feel, and everybody being so positive. So, if corporations who only concerned about their bottom line, were only concerned about their bottom line, excuse me, they they would really understand if you could reach out to your employees and help them connect and explore their own heart and their deepest desires and support them in that. Those employees are going to show up differently. They're going to show up differently in sales. They're going to connect differently to those people. And then it's not going to be about wanting more, even though you're going to probably get more. And I mean, what better way to make more money as a company, but actually become better people in the process?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, huh?
Yeah.
And it seemed like in the olden days, growing up, watching my parents, they never felt that they were just an expected robot to go in, clock out, but they always talked about work experiences. And yeah, there was some of those negative ones. People are always going to ruffle feathers and stuff like that. But the fact that it seemed like overall, my parents always enjoyed where they were and who they dealt with, regardless of a lot of other circumstances. And granted, today we have a lot more distractions, which probably feeds the fuel, or is the fuel to feed the fire, to say we want more. Because on social media, on some of these distractions, they see someone just getting a brand new this or getting promoted to this or whatever like that. And all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, wait a minute, I know that person. How can he or she get that? And I haven't yet. So now all of a sudden it's competition. So as a coach, how would you help people within the organizations, let's stay in the organization here, to help understand that exactly what you just said earlier, that if you really treat people and get them energized to come to work and feel good about being there, organically, they're probably going to produce more. It's just natural.
Absolutely.
Okay. But
Absolutely.
if, but if they're miserable because they want more from their bosses and they're not giving that to them, and the bosses want more from the employees, they're not giving, there's now that stalemate, and now all of a sudden they're going to spend more time brooding and instead of really thinking about solutions. So let's talk about solutions that's going to help both sides of this aisle to understand that, yes, wanting more is the American dream. That's why we all or the people that become business owners become business owners. They want more freedom. They want more money. They want, whatever all those adjectives are of what people want when they quit their corporate job or quit their employment to start their own business. We all want more, but sometimes it can put blinders on us to forget about the real things that are probably more important than just the physical possessions. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we
Coach
stay in our
Monselete,
mind, right? We stay in
yep.
our, especially as business owners, you're disconnected from the body. You're in your mind all the time. And we do know this, that when you feel better, which means physically and mentally, you perform better. You're typically nicer to people. You're more patient, and your bandwidth expands. If your bandwidth expands, that means you can probably take more on at work, whether you're the owner or you're the employee. My approach or my solution is sensory. And of all the senses, I work with smell because smell is the most sensitive. It's also in the middle of your face. And whatever we take in through our mouth, whatever we eat, whatever we breathe out of our mouth, we're smelling. And what's really great about the sense of smell is it's the most natural way to inhale something and immediately have a response. We know that statistically it takes maybe 500 milliseconds, around 500 milliseconds or maybe it's like 200 milliseconds to inhale something, and immediately the brain waves will coordinate a response. And so that takes you out of your head and into your body. So you can stop thinking and you start smelling, because you can't smell and think at the same time. So for me, it's about how do we get you out of your head and into your body so that you can start being connected to your body and start feeling better. And for me, that's my solution, is through smell.
So I'm not able to smell and think at the same time.
Right. No, not
So,
typically.
so
It's very hard.
so what happened? Because I know that my wife had to wipe off the saliva off the side of my mouth when I saw those pies and I started smelling those pies. So what was actually going on there, and how would your sensory, of aroma, how is that going to help me limit how much I want or reduce me thinking I want more?
Well, I don't think it's about reducing thinking about wanting more. I think it's about inhalation and application, getting yourself out of your head, because all you're doing is thinking. And when we want more, if I believe that wanting more is not something you can think yourself through, it's about feeling, it's about exploring this unexplored heart. The only way to do that is to get connected to your body. So if I can get you smelling, that immediately, right, the scent bypasses, goes into the emotional side of the brain, you're immediately feeling, which means I've immediately put you into your body and we haven't even started moving yet. You're just sitting there. That changes everything. That intercepts your brain, right? So aroma, intercepts into the brain, and then the aroma attaches to the receptors of the brain. And it's the receptors that cause the perception to change. And that's the goal. I mean, in coaching, the goal is to shift the mindset a little bit, aside from many other things. But if we can do that, if we can shift the mindset a little, we start to make progress. And I think the first way to do that is to get yourself out of your head and into your body and begin connecting the two.
That explains it then. I appreciate that because, it's so easy to just wake up and keep doing everything the same that we're accustomed to doing. And you don't realize, at least I never realized how much what goes on in between my ears, in that brain of ours, on how much it can really just set the whole tone for everything. I can see something, and if I perceive it one way through my past experiences, I could be dead wrong and I could ruin everything for that moment, in that moment, because quite honestly, I'm thinking of past experiences, my perception, my filters are going in, and I could be deadly wrong. And before you know it, I've lost out on a lot of good opportunities because my brain is there in the way, dictating what is being obviously thought about. And so the aroma is going to put me where to get that out of my head and get it opened up to do what?
Yeah, well, the aroma is going to help you get out of your head and into your body. This is connected. The body and the mind are connected. And especially with really smart people, high functioning people, a lot of business owners who are both of those things, they're always in their head and they're never engaged in their body. But our intuition, our second brain is our gut. And so we have to get into our bodies so that we can regulate what our intuition is doing with our mind in our head versus our mind in our gut. And we have to reconnect those two because that does change everything. And so that's what the aroma is there to do. It's to help you get out of your head, move down into the body, feel your gut, feel your body, streamline the nervous system, bring it down. And then start to feel how does all these thoughts feel down here without overthinking it? Is it the same? Is it different?
Uh, it is so interesting. And, it sounds so basic and simple and natural. And we become almost too mechanical, haven't we, in our lives to forget to go back and really use the senses, the five senses that we were given, as opposed to trying to recreate paths to go down certain and take certain journeys on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monselete, I can't thank you enough for being my guest speaker today. Number one, my stomach is talking to me, my gut is talking to me about how I should probably go enjoy a piece of pie. But I can't thank you enough for really explaining this, but really open our eyes and our thoughts about really what does wanting more really mean, both on the exterior, on the interior, and what the two differences are, and maybe where we should focus more on. And I love your solution. It's nice and easy. It doesn't feel like work to go smell something. That's what's nice about it is, when we are asked to do something, I've said a million times, the only person that wants change in life is a wet baby. And so anytime that someone says that we need to make this change or add this habit to it like that, it always comes across initially as work. But putting an aroma in front of us, it actually sounds enjoyable as opposed to, you know, work, hard work. So
It's
thank you.
easy. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that part because we all need sometimes more easy in our life, right? So before you leave, before I let you go, please give us one more little bit of words of wisdom from Monselete before I let you go.
Oh, that's so nice. Words of wisdom. Well, I'd love to end with a question for the
Okay.
people. And I think the question would be, what is missing in your life that you cannot purchase, that you cannot see?
Well, stay tuned for the next episode with Monselete. I love that. I
Thank
love
you.
that. So, Monselete, if someone wants to reach out to you and learn more about you and what your services are, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. You can go to monselete.com. You could also find me on LinkedIn at Monselete Bowden, and I'm also on Instagram at Monselete. So my first name, Monselete. That's a handful.
Perfect.
That's it. Thank you
That's
so
that's
much,
all right.
Bowden.
No, thank you. This has been enjoyable.
This has been great. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Yep. My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues card apps, coaching, and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast.